Am I overreacting for thinking my boyfriend is just looking for an excuse to break up? Here's the text exchange. OP starts saying, "So, I wanted to talk to you about the gifts if you have a minute." He says, "Sure, what's up?" OP says, "It was really sweet of you to get me the perfume, but in the future, please don't get me dupes from like Dossier or Oakja. I know it seems like a bargain, but when I say that I want a perfume, I want the actual perfume and not a knockoff." He asks, "Is it because you want the label?" And OP says, "Not exactly. It's more like the dupes are inferior products with less longevity. They don't always smell the same, and yes, the packaging too." He says, "It was so much cheaper to just get the Dossier ones. Does it really matter?" And OP says, "It matters to me because they are luxury items that I'm saving up to get or to reward myself with. So if you don't want to get me the real stuff, it's okay. You can always get me other stuff." And he says, "I don't know. This is rubbing me the wrong way. It seems kinda superficial and bratty to throw a temper tantrum over not getting a brand name item because someone wanted to give you all the ones that you wanted. I even read reviews to see what other people thought, and they all seemed okay with it. So maybe this is how I find out that you're a lot more superficial than I thought." OP says, "Whoa. I'm not throwing a temper tantrum at all. I said thank you and just asked for future instances that you skip perfume. I'm not mad or anything." He says, "You kind of are, to be honest. When I say I want a perfume, I want the actual perfume and not a knockoff, is toddler-level temper tantrum shit. I'm kind of disgusted by this because in my mind, you were not like this, but to find out that you are is unsettling and unnerving. I'm worried that I'm wasting my time." OP says, "Okay, why don't we talk about this in person? I don't know if I'm just coming across harsh or what, but I'm not upset that you got me perfume." He says, "No, I don't know if I want to see you at this point. I went out of my way to 1. Look at your wish list, 2. Think about what you've talked about, 3. Pick several items for it, 4. Get you the exact product, just in different packaging from a less trendy company, and then 5. Get berated for it. At this point, I'm just fully disgusted. If you got me store-brand mac and cheese instead of Annie's, I wouldn't say shit. I'd accept it gracefully, but you just had to open your mouth." OP says, "I think there's a disconnect here because I'm not trying to berate you." He says, "No, what you're doing is telling me that what I got you isn't good enough for you, and you care more about the name on the package than the scent. Which I figure since it's perfume, you wouldn't care what it comes in." OP says, "I said that it was sweet of you to get them for me, but I'd rather just save them to get myself as a reward, because that way, seeing them on my shelf is a reminder of what I accomplished." He replies, "Nah, how about I just never get you a gift again, after you just spat in my face and told me that my gifts weren't good enough because they don't come in some fancy bottle. In fact, I think I just saw the real you finally, and to be honest, I'm just disgusted. I don't think you're the right kind of girl for me if you care more about brand names than what's inside the box. That just reminds me of all these superficial Insta whores, and it makes me sick." OP says, "Wow. I'm sorry for saying anything." He says, "Yeah, I bet you are. Because now you showed your hand, and I see the real you, and you thought you could hide it forever." Now to the post. 31 female with 33 male, dating for about a year. I thought he was 14 max. This is insane. He asked me a while ago for items that I might want as a gift, so I sent in the wish list that I use that probably has 15 to 20 perfumes. He was sweet and got me 3 bottles, but they were from Dossier and not the real product. I think it's very sweet, but I want him to save his time in the future because I don't want dupe products. I want the real ones. But he took it the wrong way, and it gives me the impression that he's just looking for a way out anyway. There are plenty of other things on my list that are cheaper, not brand name, serve a functional purpose, etc. I think his big overreaction is just him looking for a way out more than anything, but I wasn't going to egg him on in text. Our relationship has been completely fine and normal. I am the higher earner than him, which he says doesn't bug him, but maybe it does. I don't know. Thoughts? In the comments, Squirtle Squad Groupie says, This guy is insane with the way that he speaks to you. You just had to open your mouth. Reminds me of all these superficial Insta whores. You spat in my face and told me these gifts weren't good enough. He does not respect you at all and has the fragility of a child. Dude, do not stay with this guy. It's crazy to me that people in this sub will post the most foul shit that their partners say to them and be like, but the relationship is good, other than this. If he's speaking to her like this, I guarantee you that it's not the first time and the relationship probably isn't actually good. What's crazy to me is that OP didn't post about, am I overreacting for not putting up with his insults, but am I overreacting for thinking he's finding an excuse to break up? I think that, sadly, this kind of language is such a common occurrence that she doesn't even see how much of a problem it is. But you had to open your mouth. Girl, this is all you need to know about this man right here. Run. Yeah, he's not looking for a chance to break up. He's testing the waters for how much poor treatment you are willing to tolerate. Oh my god, this. If there's one fact I could beam into the brains of people whose partners act like this, it's that they're not threatening to leave because they actually plan on leaving. They're doing it to keep you uncertain and scared of upsetting them. By the end of the relationship, you'll be the one changing your locks to keep them out of your life. So many posters on this forum and similar ones are like, I'm afraid my shitty or abusive partner is going to leave me, and the answer is always, honey, you wish they were going to leave. Back up to the post, there's an edit. I can't keep up with the comments at this point, but I wanted to clear something up. The perfume that he got me was not the exact same perfume, just in an off-brand bottle. It's not made at the same factory the way generic cereals are. They are dupe perfumes, so they are cheaper, lower quality, less sillage, new word. Neither scent has a very strong sillage. Less longevity. They are imitations. The issue isn't that I want the brand name on the bottle, it's that the perfume itself is bad. Edit 2. Several people have also asked when this took place, and to be clear, he gave me the perfume over a week ago when we were together in person. I said thank you then, and we went about our days. The entire reason that I brought it up was to make sure that he doesn't continue to waste his money buying me stuff that's not going to get used. I don't want to say nothing, and him ending up thinking that I want more. Yeah, but if he was a normal and rational person, this wouldn't be a problem in the first place, and you're right that he was misinterpreting the situation, and it's as if you are having two different conversations going over the top of each other here. He's intentionally picking a fight with you, and like the comments have said, I doubt this is the first time. This is probably just the first time that it's gotten so bad that you're like, holy shit, why is he so crazy all of a sudden? I know he's normally crazy, but this is over the top. But for me, who doesn't have to deal with bullshit like this is 10 ratchets over the top. How the hell has the frog been boiling so long in the pot of water that it has got to this point? This is crazy OP. No one deserves to be talked to this way. This is incredibly verbally abusive behavior from him. This is breakup territory. What are we doing still with this man? This is not someone that respects you. He doesn't want to listen to you. He doesn't want to find a peaceful middle ground solution. I don't see the point of continuing. And now, on to the update, starting with the texts. He says, we have to talk about plans for my mum's on Thanksgiving. Are you ignoring me? I'm not mad about the perfume stuff anymore. I get that you're into brand names and all that stuff. I'm just not used to being with girls who care about that shit. It caught me off guard. OP replies, I think it's time that we break this off and both go our separate ways. I just don't think that I can trust your reaction and how you spoke to me. He says, what the fuck? Over one fight where I got kind of upset? Are you serious? So I'm not allowed to say anything or react in any way when you basically spit in my face for not buying you brand name perfumes that are $500? You care more about the label on a bottle of perfume than you do our relationship and everything we've done. You won't even admit that you were wrong. OP says, the fact that you still think that it's about brand names when I told you it's about how you spoke to me is enough for me to know that this is the right decision. I wish you the best. And he finishes off by saying, "Enjoy being alone for the holidays. Single at 31 is pretty much as pathetic as it can get." Almost as pathetic as single at 33, hey buddy. Not to toot your own horn or anything, huh? My post got a lot more responses than I was prepared for. Some very insightful comments, too. I appreciate everyone who talked with me. I knew I was probably going to break up with him over the way that he spoke to me, but I wanted some insight into his perspective. In the end, it just wasn't worth trying to have a bigger discussion with him, so I broke it off. Moving forward, I'll make new wish lists for anyone who asks me for one to avoid it. I've never had an issue with a man buying me perfume before, so it really never popped in my mind. I know some of you are really stuck on the "why did you text this" part, and the only real answer is that we just use text for pretty much everything. I don't see it as impersonal or anything. I'll try to avoid having serious talks over text to avoid misunderstandings. Edit. Adding this at someone's suggestion? No, I did not ask him for a $500 perfume. None of the perfumes on my list, the list that he asked for, were $500. He would have had to see the name of the perfume on the list, ignored the direct link to where it could be purchased, and look it up to find a completely different formula. And again, this is a list that he asked for that includes everything I want to buy. From perfumes, to pants, to charging cords, to a new snow brush for my car. In the comments, Sea Milk says, "If single at 31 is pathetic for you, which it's not, it's 2 years more pathetic for him." I think it's so funny when people try to say things like that. Congrats. I'd be so tempted to reply, "and yet not nearly as pathetic as being 33 and still unable to control his big boy feelings." I would have already sent that text, followed by an immediate press of the block button. As much as I want to have the last word, there's some crazy motherfuckers in this world. Which, completely fair. There are people that I would definitely want to get in arguments with, but hell nah, the reaction I'm gonna get and the threats to my life from these unhinged people are not worth that smoke. Based on his reaction, there's no safe way that you could have had this conversation. It's probably best that you had it over text. If you had this conversation in person, who knows what he would have done? Given his lack of respect for you and his inability to control his temper, it's quite likely that things could have gone sideways if you had this conversation face to face. Ultimately, there's nothing wrong with you having a specific list of things that you both 1. Want, and 2. Will use. His buying you an alternative to something that you want because it's cheaper or because buying it for you somehow confirms that you're materialistic is not a nice or thoughtful thing to do. It's controlling behavior, full stop, and it's honestly the best outcome that you hashed this out at a safe distance and broke up with him. Block him everywhere. Remove any access that he has to anything that you might share, streaming services, etc., and change any passwords he might know. Never underestimate the petty, punitive nature of a person scorned. You didn't do anything wrong, and don't let him convince you that you did. Absolutely. He still, even in this breakup, refuses to acknowledge that it was the way that he talked to you that was the problem. Instead, he just goes straight to ad hominem and is like, "Oh, actually, imagine being 31 and single." Right when directly confronted on it, when directly pinned down and say, "Respond to this specific statement," he's like, "Actually, how about I don't do that? I'm the victim here. And you're a sad, pathetic, single woman." Not me, though. But hold up, let me just ignore that question again. I don't understand how people can live and operate in this way. How? It's just not a reality that I understand. Is it an ego thing? Does he not like the truth? Does he not like having respect for people? What is wrong with this man? But regardless, you are better off without him, OP. I think this breakup was going to happen sooner or later. Anyone with a brain would stay the hell away from this guy. So thank you for getting the hell away from him. Our next post is by user SadActive, and it's titled, "Did I cross a boundary by teaching my boyfriend's son how to cook? I, female 27, just made this account to ask a question before my boyfriend comes home and we talk. I just want to know if I crossed any boundaries and if I owe him and his ex-wife an apology. My boyfriend, male 35, and his ex-wife, female 37, share a son named Tristan. Tristan, male 8, comes to our place every other week. I recently moved in with my boyfriend after 2 years of dating. I asked Tristan what his favorite meal is, and he said butter chicken. So, I make sure to cook it on the night that he comes to our place. Today, he was home because of a PD day, and I had the day off too to be with him. I asked him, "Do you want to make it together? I'll supervise and tell you what to do. It'll be fun." So, we prepared rice and butter chicken together. He was so proud of himself. He asked me to take a picture and send it to his mum and dad while he held the plate already. I did, and I wrote, "Chef Tristan made his first butter chicken today." His mum lost it and messaged me that I robbed her of his first cooking experience and that I'm just a girlfriend trying to play family. I said I didn't mean it that way and that I thought that it was just a fun activity. I apologized. My boyfriend messaged saying that I should have talked to his mum first, especially since it involved being close to the oven or cutting. I told him that I did the cutting and I truly didn't mean to insult his mum. Now Tristan has finished his meal and I'm waiting for his dad to come home. Did I cross the line? Added later, no, it's not a cultural meal for any of us. He just really likes this meal. I wasn't my boyfriend's affair partner. Tristan's mum broke up with my boyfriend when Tristan was 1 when she met her co-worker. Tristan has a half-sister from his mum's side. She is still with the guy. In the comments, you shouldn't have apologized, and no, you didn't cross a line. OP says, thank you. At 8 years old, mum has had the opportunity to cook with him and hasn't. That's not your fault. If Tristan's parents want to criticize you for taking a day off to watch their son for them and actually making that day fun, they owe you an apology. They also need to stay home with him if every first is so critically important. Let them use their own time off to watch their son in their own way. They don't get to have it both ways. They either have you watching him and you choosing things to do, or they do it themselves. OP replies, when he has PD day and with us, my boyfriend and I take time to be with him. Doesn't sound like your boyfriend took the day off today. If he had, he would have been there with you while you helped his son cook. OP says, sorry, I meant take turns to take days off. Back up to the post, there's an update. I talked to him. Well, apparently, I crossed the line because it was his favorite meal. It was supposed to be his mum's job to teach him, not me, as I was told. My boyfriend asked if I could check with Tristan's mum first in the future before doing anything. Fuck off, Tristan's mum. And you, boyfriend, what the hell? I told him there won't be a next time because I refuse to do anything one-on-one with him. He thinks I'm overreacting and I should just let it go. What do I know? I'm just some girl playing family. I'm so annoyed by him being such a wuss. This is yet another example of the 99% of stories coming to Am I the Arsehole and relationship advice, and in this instance, r/marriage, where it is genuinely such a monumental issue. This to me is a gigantic, glaring relationship issue that it bears questioning whether you stay in a relationship with this man. His ex-wife potentially cheated on him, left him for a co-worker, had 7 years to do any of this with her son, yet apparently has chosen not to, and he puts her above you, OP. What the hell? And from the looks of it, in this update, this is going to be a thing going forward. He asked you if you could check with his mum first in the future before doing anything. How about he grows a fucking spine and stands up for you against his harpy of an ex-wife? How about that? No, apparently this is your battle to fight with his ex-wife. He doesn't want to be involved, and in fact he wants to take her side. How is any of this acceptable? Your blood should be boiling, and you should be leaving this man. Genuinely. He thinks you're overreacting and you should just let it go. This was a complete non-issue. You were trying to have fun with their son who they should be looking after, but I don't care if I'm a broken record like the comments. You're just trying to do something nice for their kid. And instead, fucking Mount Everest is made out of a molehill with this insane woman who's like, how dare you? How dare you cook butter chicken? I was supposed to do that. I know I never mentioned this in the past. I know I've never said anything about it, but you're supposed to be able to read my mind. Oh, I can't with people like this. Throw them all in the bin. This is so unfair on you and the son, and I don't blame you if in this update you leave his ass. Because that's not right. None of this is fair. And now, onto the final update. So I guess this is my final update. I called him on my lunch break and told him that I'd thought about everything, and that both he and his ex-wife owe me an apology. I explained that I was bonding with Tristan and made a meal with him after taking care of him all day, and she got mad and insulted me, and then he took her side. Then he had the audacity to come to bed and ask for a blowjob. He said I was being ridiculous and immature. I told him that if I didn't hear a real apology, I wasn't coming home and we were done. He said, fine, whatever, sorry. I said that didn't sound sincere at all and asked whether he was going to ask his ex to apologize to me. He said, are you insane? No, out of the question. I asked him if he honestly wouldn't even try to stand up for me, and he said I was being unrealistic and that it wasn't like that. So I told him we were done, because he wasn't even trying. Thank you, Opie. Thank God. Oh my God. Right now, I'm at my best friend's house eating sushi takeout and watching Gilmore Girls reruns. I'm more mad than sad. I'm not at eating ice cream and cry stage yet, but I guess that's it. We're done. He's been texting saying we need to talk, but I have nothing to talk about. We're done. My best friend and I will start looking at rental places online for me after dinner. Thank you for all your feedback. In the comments, Patient Gas says, wow, just wow. Not only did he not back you, but wanted sex afterwards. The trash took itself out. The sad and tragic thing is, this is going to happen with his son with any woman in his life. This dude doesn't have a spine. He's just a jelly. Mummy Monster is going to be in for a rude awakening, so is he as his child gets older. OP says, yeah, he came into our bed acting like nothing had happened and then started kissing me and initiating sex. I said, get off me. He said, fine, give me a good blowjob at least. And I slept on the couch last night. The audacity of this man. Never go back. OP says, never. We are done. Patient Gas says, that is so weird that he thought after what he and his ex did that he could have sex. OP says, he said he wanted to cheer me up. I was like, you can't be this dumb. Oh wait, he is. The one that I feel sorry for most here is Tristan. He could have had another caring adult in his life, one who actually wanted to spend time bonding with him, but his mum had to get in the way of that because she was jealous, and your ex is clearly too spineless to stand up to her. It sucks this happened, OP, but better to find out now than after getting married. I once dated a guy who had a daughter with his ex, and she came over every other weekend. He went on about how he thought that I would be such a good influence in his child's life, but once we moved in together, I wasn't even afforded the respect of a roommate, let alone partner, where his daughter was concerned. I broke things off, and trust me, I have no regrets. It baffles my mind, it really baffles my mind again, that people can operate to such degrees of disconnection from the real world. How do they see no problem with such enmeshment and entanglement with their exes to this degree, to the point that they put their exes, who have probably, at least in his situation, done him wrong, and be like, you know what? She's a pillar of morality. She's someone that I look up to. She's always going to be put before you, even though she left me. She left me for someone else. I wasn't good enough. I was not a good enough partner to be in her life, the father of her child. Yeah, she left me, but guess what? I take her opinion more seriously than yours, and her well-being is much more important than yours, girlfriend. Yeah, suck on that. Suck on me. Wait, where are you going? Why won't you suck on me? All I did was disrespect you, babe. Please. Just one good blowjob, babe. That's all I'm asking for. One good blowy. No? Aw, dang it. Why is she breaking up with me? I literally did nothing wrong. Why are women like this? I'm glad that I don't have half a brain like these people, that I'm still able to operate at a normal capacity, despite the fact that many people will listen to my words and think, no, Marky, you do in fact have half a brain. Shut up. That's all I have to say to that. Anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to end today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!